My name is Wendy, and I've been working at the museum. This is my second summer. I was actually born and raised here. I raised my family in another area, but I've been back in town for about 5 years. Faith is the home of Sioux. Sioux is the largest and most complete Tyrannosaurus rex which has ever been recovered. Sioux was found about 15 miles north of town. If you go west of that, you're going to find the home of where Bucky was retrieved. And then beyond that is most recent Dinosaur Victoria. You could Google Dinosaur Victoria. Ruth Mason was an old pioneer from the area who started writing into the Geological Society in the 50s and telling them that I think there are dinosaur bones on my land. They didn't actually come out and start digging and heeding her call until about 79. Sioux was actually discovered in 1990 and across a fence. There's a little bit of controversy that falls behind Sioux. I think there's a YouTube video. You can Google Dinosaur 13, and that'll give you a lot of that history. Sioux's discoverer, Sue Hendricks, she's named after her discoverer, Sioux, and Sioux was just out on a walk one day, and she happened to look up, and she seen the head. That led to her and the leader of the digging crew visiting with the landowner, and who gave them permission to dig, and in return they come out with the largest and most complete Tyrannosaurus in the world. She is currently homed at the Field Museum in Chicago. Her head is actually, there's just a cast on her actual display. Her head alone weighs more than 600 pounds, and so the head is kept in a separate case. Bucky was found just west of Sioux. Each of these dinosaurs are named after the people who discovered them. Bucky was a juvenile dinosaur, meaning a teenage dinosaur, not quite as large in size as Sioux. He was discovered by a local rancher whose name also was Bucky. Bucky just always had an interest in dinosaurs, and he just always kind of looked, kept his eyes open and whatever for that. Found on his parents' ranch. Going west of there then, and we don't have anything in here for Dinosaur Victoria, but Dinosaur Victoria would have been found west of Bucky then. Bucky is located in the Children's Museum in Indianapolis, and to the best of my knowledge, the last that I have heard, Dinosaur Victoria is in British Columbia in Canada. All three of these dinosaurs come out of what is called the Hell Creek Formation. The Hell Creek Formation extends on into Montana, and I don't know how far beyond that. And then it goes east also, and that is not something that I've looked up and gotten to the bottom of that. But it's a large. They're actively digging and retrieving bones and fossils and all kinds of cool things today. So a fascination to a lot of the youth who end up visiting our museum as they travel through. They love to feel a real dinosaur bone. That just totally catches the interest of lots. Also of interest from this Hell Creek Formation and from the Mason Quarry, there actually are bones from this area scattered throughout the world. This is a picture of a local couple who used to live here, both deceased now, unfortunately, but they were visiting some of the Mason Quarry bones while they were on a trip to Wales.
My name is Craig Ness. I'm standing here next to the old Thompson Drug soda fountain that they've had till about 1969 or so. They had hard ice cream, they had malts, they had banana splits. My favorite drink was the nickel cherry Coke. You could get drinks for a nickel back then. It was kind of a gathering place. Some days you could have all the root beer you could drink for a dime, and that could be somewhat dangerous at times if you drank too much. They were known for their sundaes. They had marshmallows, butterscotch, this sort of thing. These spaces in here was kept all the ice cream that was through here. That was for ice. And there's were the soda jerks. The Sippert girls were the soda jerks. And there you have a little bit of what it cost back in about 1957 for a banana split was 45 cents. A lot of times they didn't have a banana, so they'd take a nickel out of the till, run across the street, buy a banana, come back, and then divide it up and, have their banana split. So my dad also worked here. The Thompson family was the owners of it. He was very civic-minded. He ran for governor of the state. He had the local news for many years, and this was a wonderful meeting place for high school kids and people that just loved ice cream. This was the first of 2 loads of lumber leaving Sturgis to build the town of Faith. Mildred Ellefson Van Sickle of Newell identified the men with the wagons. They were Pete Stahlheim, Harry Norton, Jack Ellefson. These were some of the original men that brought lumber to Faith to build the town.
Just to give you a little history of Faith, Faith municipalized in 1910. We were the end line of the Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul Railroad line. Prior to 1910, that railroad line had come as far as Mobridge, South Dakota, and we were an extension then off of that Mobridge line. There was already settlement in the area due to the Homestead Act coming previous, but we were a large shipping center for cattle and sheep, which our livestock facility remains to be, a staple in our community today. There was a conductor on the railroad who had 2 daughters, one named Faith and one named Isabel. Isabel's located about 50 miles northeast of us here. I have a picture here of our original depot. This has been relocated to a ranch site about 6 miles northwest of town here. Faith was actually the end of the line, and we were a turnaround point. So up here north of the sale barn, there was a Y, and the trains would go in and turn around and go. As a kid, I remember playing on the railroad tracks, and that was always kind of a big divider line. The ice house, which we talked about earlier, the Flannery Distributing Company out of Minneapolis would send their spirits out on the train, and then we were a distributing company to local taverns around the area. Faith municipalized in 1910. The ice house came in 1911. Was closed in 1919 with the Prohibition. We had some conversation earlier today about the Prohibition and how South Dakota was affected compared to the rest of the United States. We kind of rebelled that Prohibition Act for a little bit. So just interesting to me, if you travel eastern South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, whatever, you're going to find that a lot of those communities were formed in the mid to late 1800s. It took actually until 1910 for this area of the West to be settled. If you study into history at all, you'll see that Deadwood and the Gold Rush, that was more the late 1800s also. But to settle and municipalize this area not till 1910, I think it's just kind of an important piece of the South Dakota history. A lot of these little towns east of us, Dupree, Eagle Butte, they're all Timber Lake, all formed in 1910. So I'm just going to touch just for a moment on a little bit of our school here. We are the home of the Longhorns. For a little tiny town located out in the middle of the prairie, we've had lots of recognition due to just hard work and dedication of a good coaching staff and great kids being raised here on the prairie. We also have what I think is also quite unique. Our alumni association is unique compared to a lot of areas. I hear a lot of towns that maybe a certain class will get together maybe for a weekend over the 4th of July. We have one of the longest running alumni associations. We actually celebrate our class reunion celebrations during our homecoming time. So we have got just some faithful alma mater who come back and celebrate during the actual homecoming season. This year we'll be honoring the classes who end in 1. We'll have 2021, 11, 01, 91, 81, and they go back a long, long ways. This year is going to be a little bit unique. We're going to be honoring classes Everybody is invited to attend, but the honor classes this year will also include the classes which end in 0 because of the COVID last year. We felt we had a little bit lighter attendance, and so we'd like to invite those people back who would like an opportunity to celebrate those old alma mater Faith Longhorn memories with their classmates and friends from around the globe, honestly. We've just got very, very faithful alumni who come back and support that. It's not unusual at all to be attending a basketball game, maybe a state football playoff game, and really our alumni will come out of the woodwork wherever we're at to follow those athletes and support their hometown.
My name is Craig Ness. I'm chairman of the museum and the research center. Just wanted to let you know that Faith, in the proximity, is halfway between the equator and the North Pole on the 45th degree line. And if you know the exact location of Faith, and if you go east of here, you'll go through St. Paul, the Bay of Fundy, Bordeaux, France, the Sea of Azov, Salem, Oregon, Yellowstone Park, and back here in Faith again. So we're kind of proud of our location and where it's located.
I'm Annelle Lofdahl, and I was part of the Museum Board, Information Center Board from the beginning. We had the museum as such ready when the Faith Centennial was in 2010. The Information Center part was funded in part by a grant which was based on the ice house that had been worked on to preserve here.